Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Monday, obviously Everton didn't play last weekend, so no game review today, simply no game to review is the... we're going to talk about Everton announcing last night that they will end their partnership with betting company SportPesa at the end of the current season, cutting the deal 2 years short, and obviously meaning that Everton will be looking for a new main shirt sponsor come the summer, obviously in time for production of the 2020 to 2021 season's kits. Listen, of course, we've known that, we probably weren't going to be with SportPesa for the long run. There's been a lot of indications, there's been a lot of variables that go into just why it hasn't really worked between Everton and the betting company. We're going to talk about some of them today. Obviously, we had Denise Barrett-Baxendale's comments at the recent AGM, speaking about how it's not really ideal that we've got somebody like SportPesa. She did massively praise them and give it all the business sort of bullshit about how they're good for the club and that they've been a good partner, but she basically would come out and said in an ideal world would have somebody different. Of course, we've had all of the stuff regarding Alisher Usmanov and his companies. Obviously, we know USM, a company of his, currently sponsors or has the naming rights to Finch Farm, USM. We know another company that he has, he's invested in, Megaphone, obviously, of now sponsors the two sort of lifts outside of the park end. It's looking like Alisher Usmanov at the moment will sponsor pretty much anything to do with Everton Football Club. So I think as a fan base, we all sort of had an inkling for at least a few months now, if not, a year or so, that SportPesa, what probably wasn't going to be Everton's shirt sponsor for the long run. And I think it's good that we're cutting it short. At the end of the day, there has been a lot of sort of negativity surrounding SportPesa. The company hasn't held themselves in the best of light since obviously taking over from Chang as our main shirt sponsor. There's also a bit of information to go through regarding our sleeve sponsor, obviously Angry Birds. Now there's been no announcement or there's been nothing really to confirm or to say that we won't be continuing our partnership with Angry Birds. I believe the partnership with Angry Birds is up at the end of this year. However, there has been just speculation that that might end as well at the end of its contract, and then we might look for a new shirt sleeve sponsor. But obviously, like I said, it's nothing confirmed, nothing's come from the club. There's no indication really that will be ending the partnership. It's just speculation obviously that's come with the news that the SportPesa partnership will be ending. So we're going to talk through obviously some possible replacements, some possible sponsors that are going to come in and take over from SportPesa as we get into the stream. Like I said, there wasn't ever really that sort of relationship, that rapport built between SportPesa and the Evertonians at least. Obviously, we don't really know what goes on behind the scene. We don't really know what goes on between, Everton officials and SportPesa. They might have had an absolute boss relationship. Well, obviously, they didn't have an I'm just going to wipe my eye. I've got something in my eye there that's causing me a little itch. Obviously, they didn't have a boss relationship. Otherwise, they wouldn't be cutting the deal 2 years short. But like I said, there wasn't that rapport between SportPesa and the fans. Angry Birds seem to be doing a little bit more. They're, producing little challenges for the players, etc. And, they are getting a little bit more involved with the football club. So, for me, I don't see a reason at the minute as to why Everton would be like, we massively need to cut the Angry Birds deal short, or we're not looking to re-sign with them if the money's still there. However, it's just food for thought. I believe that is up at the end of the season as well. But we're not here to talk about Angry Birds. We are here to talk about SportPesa. Like I said at the start of the live stream, the deal will be cut 2 years short, initially due to end in 2022, I believe, at the end of that season. But it will now end at the end of this season. And like I said, it's something that I believe we've all been sort of probably hoping for and sort of expecting for quite some time now. Like I said, as soon as I heard Denise Barrett-Baxendale comment on SportPesa in the AGM, as soon as I heard her basically come out and say, listen, they've been very, very good for the club and we thank them, but in an ideal world we'd have a different shirt sponsor, it sort of made me feel like, right, the relationship obviously between this betting company and the club obviously isn't as good as it should be, because, in previous years, a CEO or a higher board member of Everton Football Club would never come out and say that for one of the sponsors, but they did. Obviously, we've had the controversy with SportPesa previously. Famously, they had to come out and produce a formal apology to Evertonians, because I think it was after the game that Arsenal beat Everton 5-0. I think it was away from home. SportPesa come out and basically massively praised Arsenal. So basically, they have sponsorships, or they sponsor many a Premier League clubs, just not to the level that they sponsored Everton. Obviously, Everton allowing them to be on the front of the shirt. They still are on the front of the shirts for this season, of course. That'll change next season. But it was a couple of years back. I think we still had Ronald Koeman in charge. They were the shirt sponsor. They were on the front of our shirts. But they do have little sponsorships, and I believe clubs like Arsenal, I think Tottenham might be one as well, various other clubs in the Premier League. But obviously, we were being the only club that actually sported the logo on our shirts, I think, in that particular season. We come up against Arsenal, who were another one of their sponsorships. I dare say Arsenal have got many sponsorships. And I think Arsenal absolutely bladdered us, and basically SportPesa come out praising Arsenal and saying how much of a dominant performance it was, and a post that you would expect from a sponsor of a football club that's got absolutely no loyalties or no ties with the opposition football club that have just been lamped sort of 5-0. Obviously, that not being the case, SportPesa were the main shirt sponsor of Everton Football Club, and decided to come out and post that, which was highly insensitive and got a lot of Evertonians wound up. And I think that was in the first season that they began sponsoring us, and that was already the big red flag, the big alarm bells for a lot of Evertonians, to say this company, this betting company, are meant to be our main sponsor, are meant to be representing the club, and they're coming out and they're basically taking the piss out of the fact that we've just been absolutely battered away from home against a team that they may sponsor, but they definitely don't sponsor in the same capacity as us. On the back of that, there was a lot of criticism. It went all over social media. Evertonians didn't like it, of course. A lot of us were fuming at that, and rightly so, when SportPesa come out and put a big formal apology up and said about how it was insensitive and he didn't mean to offend anybody, blah, 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 blah. But from that point on, there was a couple of little things again here and there that really, really just didn't resonate with Evertonians. And I felt like Evertonians felt disconnected to the sponsorship and disconnected from, obviously, the relationship that SportPesa had with the club. Like I said, I can only speak on behalf of a fan. I can only speak on behalf of myself, really. But I feel like that was the general consensus of Evertonians. Obviously, the relationship they had with the club, we're not ever going to know, really. But the fact that they're cutting the sponsorship 2 years short, or the partnership 2 years short, means that it mustn't have been a fantastic relationship that they had there. Of course, I think it's a big opportunity now. I think it's a really, really big opportunity, not only for Everton to go out and bring in a sponsorship that's going to fly us with a shed load of money. It will help massively in regards to the financial fair play rules. Obviously, bringing in a sponsorship, bringing in a sponsor, bringing in a company that will partner with us, that will give us substantially more money than SportPesa did, of course, I can't see why it would be against any rule. It's just bringing in a new sponsor for more money. It would help us with financial fair play, and it allows us to bring in a sponsor that, like I said, is willing to have that little bit more of a connection with fans, and also let's be perfectly honest, is a little bit more appealing to the eye. When you go out, when you go and buy an Everton kit and you see SportPesa, and people are asking, what's SportPesa, and it's a betting company that nobody really has ever heard of or wanted to use in the past. It's not the most appealing thing. It's a big chance now for Everton to go out, get a sponsorship that are going to fly us with loads of money, and also an appealing sponsorship that people will look at and go, yeah, you know what, that looks decent on that kit, I'll buy that kit, that looks really good, or I know who they are, I'm aware of them, or they offer a decent service. Of course, that's what we want. There's been names thrown out there. We'll talk about some of the obvious names in just a second, of course, and some of the obvious shouts for the new shirt sponsor. My dad has literally been saying for months and months and months that we won't have SportPesa at the end of the season, because Alisher Usmanov will plough in loads of money and will be sponsored by either Megaphone or USM, and obviously nothing's been confirmed as of yet, but we have, obviously, other than the fact that we're ending our partnership with SportPesa. But yeah, it gives us a massive opportunity, obviously, to get a sponsor that's going to give us substantially more money than SportPesa were, and it's just a little bit more appealing on the kit and a little bit more appealing to fans, and also sort of people that may not necessarily be fans of Everton Football Club but are related to a company that might look and go, they sponsored Everton, who are Everton, let's look into Everton, I support blah 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 in this country, but you know, I like the Premier League, so maybe I can follow Everton. It's a marketing thing at the end of the day, isn't it? This is a big marketing opportunity in terms of bringing in new fans, bringing in new supporters, and of course, bringing in more money at the end of the day, which inevitably is going to help us in the long run. Now, obviously, since the news was released last night at about 8 o'clock, like you said, it was always going to be the case. Having 2 years left on a partnership with a company that had you know, fairly controversial moments with the football club. You know, for me, like I said before, the highest of which is Denise Barrett-Baxendale, the sort of the chief executive of the football club, coming out and saying in an ideal world we wouldn't have SportPesa. I mean, if the relationship was anything more than shocking, then she just, you know, wouldn't come out and say that. But yeah, like I said, obviously the obvious assumptions, there's the obvious names, there's the obvious companies that have been thrown in there. I think would be quite, you know, silly to not throw USM in there, USM Holdings, or obviously Megaphone, who have sponsored. USM obviously sponsor Finch Farm. Megaphone have actually had a sleeve sponsor so far this season, but it's for a piece of training gear that you can't actually buy. You'll have seen pictures of the players, etc., especially going back to the start of the season when the home kit and the home training range was released. You'll have seen pictures of the players wearing this sort of dark bluish Everton training jacket, or you know, training top, you know, one of them tops that you put on and zips up. It's absolutely boss, and you know, I'd pay £100 for it, but it just never got released. It's got Megaphone on the sleeve. It looks a belter. It looks an absolute belter. Like we said before, Alisher, who's now sponsoring the lifts at the front of the park end, they now got Megaphone on. He won't just be putting their logo on there for free. He will be bringing in some sort of income for the club from that. Of course, confirming in the AGM that he'd offered £30 million to have the first choice for the name and rights of the new stadium as well. So it would be the obvious conversation to have, is to go, right, okay, new shirt sponsor. We know we're going to bring them on in at the end of the season. It's more than likely going to be either USM or Megaphone. Doesn't mean that it's definitely going to be either of those two companies. One thing that those companies would bring us is, like we said, more investment. I dare say they'd give us, you know, it would be a better deal financially for the football club, as well as strengthening up that relationship between Everton Football Club and Alisher Usmanov. Like we said, he'd have the training ground, Finch Farm, you know, who he got the name and rights to. He'd have the first rights for the name and rights for the new stadium. He'd obviously have the advertising all over Goodison Park with the lifts, etc. And he'd have his advertising on the front of the kit. So I dare say he'll be a name that's in the front running, or for one of his companies, whether it be USM, whether it be Megaphone, or whether it be, you know, another company that he has shares in. He'll be on the front run to want this, you know, this deal, and want the company splattered all over the front of a Premier League footballing team, and a team that may even end up playing in a European competition at the end of the year. It'll be very, very interesting to see how long it takes the football club to come out and announce, or how long it takes the football club to come out and make the decision, obviously, because, you know, there's been a lot of rumours surrounding kit production very, very recently. Obviously, we've had this confirmed now that the partnership will end with SportPesa. Of course, you know, a couple of months ago we had all the controversy regarding Umbro, and the fact that there was rumours surrounding the football club that they would cut the deal short with Umbro, and there was certain companies that were in the mix, Hummel being one of them, that were in the mix to produce the kits for next season. So all of a sudden, in the space of, you know, 2 or 3 months, you've had, you know, the main kit the main kit sponsor, on the front of the kit. Obviously that deal will be ending, so we'll be looking for a new kit sponsor. We've had the kit producer, manufacturer, where there's been rumours around the relationship between them and the club, and maybe a new manufacturer next season. Obviously the shirt sponsorship deal is apparently up at the end of the season, so there may be a new shirt sponsor. So we may see a completely different, you know, a completely overhaul in terms of kit production for next season. But one thing is for sure, whether we continue that partnership with Umbro, and whether those rumours were just a load of sort of wallop, and whether we decide to obviously extend the deal with Angry Birds, one thing's for sure is obviously the production of the new kits will have to start, sorry, a little bit of a tickly throat there. It will have to start, you know, the ideas will have to be put in very, very soon, obviously, because, you know, it takes a while to do the designs, it takes a while to make the kits, and obviously to get those ideas across. So there will have to be an idea at some point in the near future. Just going to tweet the stream out while I'm having a little bit of a coughing fit. I've got a bit of a sore throat at the moment, to be honest with you. I've had a cold for ages, absolutely ages. I feel like I've had a cold for about 3 years. But yeah, obviously it's still it's still bugging me a little bit, so we'll tweet the stream out while my throat decides to sort itself out, of course. Let me know your thoughts on it, of course, on the end of the partnership with SportPesa. Do you care? Were you that interested in SportPesa, or are you just happy that it's over now? Because it hasn't been a great relationship, has it, to be honest? It's been a sinking ship pretty much since they made that Arsenal post really at the start of their first year sponsoring the football club. But like I said, the idea is the company, whoever it is going to be that takes over, the decision's going to have to be made fairly quickly within the next couple of months, because generally, the new kit gets revealed, announced sort of end of July time, early August. It was very, very late. Last year for this season, the kit production and the kit announcements for this season for me were absolutely dreadful. The home kit was announced massively late. The away kit was revealed at something like 6 o'clock in the morning, and the third kit wasn't ready. We had to play in last year's third kit, the first game of the season. So that was where all obviously the rumours come from in terms of Umbro, because of the production of the kits for this season just wasn't good enough. It wasn't quick enough. It wasn't on time, etc. But obviously, like we said, we've mentioned the usual USM, Megaphone, etc. There are a couple of other companies, NEC, who Everton have been sponsored by in the past, that are a company that have popped up. I believe they do have links with Alisher Usmanov and with his partner companies. I don't know how solid those links are, and I don't know in what capacity those links are, but I read an article yesterday that was linking Alisher Usmanov's name to NEC, the company. So again, wouldn't surprise me if their name's in the running. Wouldn't surprise me if they're sort of a front runner to get the deal, to get the partnership, obviously to be the main sponsor on the front of the kit. But like I said, it's a big opportunity for the club. Obviously, we know we're moving forward in terms of on the pitch. We know we're moving forward in terms of the manager. We've brought in one of the best managers in world football in Carlo Ancelotti. We're currently on a fantastic run. We play Arsenal on Sunday, I believe it is, this weekend, so we need to continue that run. But it's good to see that the club aren't only making strides on the pitch and in terms of managerial appointments and performances by players on the pitch, but also in the background, things that they're not happy with, they're changing. Of course, they weren't happy with the partnership with SportPesa, whether that be because of how it looked, how it seemed, or whether that just be how professional or how SportPesa acted during the time, obviously partnered with the football club. Whatever it may be that Everton weren't happy with, they definitely weren't happy with them, and obviously they've cut that deal short, and now we're going to move on to bigger and better things. It's also a big opportunity for Everton to find a company that not only will, like I said, give us a lot of a lot more substantial, in terms of finance, as well as a lot more advertising and a lot more sort of, like I said, likability. When you look at a kit and you go, oh, I like that. That sponsor really fits in there. But also, it's a big opportunity for Everton to go out and find a sponsor that may give us other benefits in terms of football, whether it be pre-season tours. Obviously, we knew with SportPesa that pretty much every pre-season was to, would go over to Africa, to obviously to play in the SportPesa Cup, and absolutely no problem with that. The work that SportPesa do over there and that Everton have done over there in the years is absolutely fantastic. But it's a big opportunity potentially to find a company that may allow us to go over to somewhere like America or South Africa or somewhere different for a pre-season. Obviously, we went to America once in 2013-14, I believe it was, Roberto Martinez's first season for the pre-season. I couldn't go, unfortunately, but it looked absolutely boss, so I'd definitely love to go there for the pre-season. But like I said, there are big benefits that'll come with a new shirt sponsorship, and hopefully the decision is made, and hopefully it is the right decision, because it's important that we don't get this wrong again. Chang with a long term sponsorship with the company. Obviously the decision to move on from Chang, I think it was needed, but of course we obviously rushed into a deal with SportPesa that wasn't quite right for the club, and hence why it's being cut short early. If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. It means a massive amount to me. If you're new to the channel as well, don't forget to subscribe. It only takes a second. Get the video shared, get the live stream shared. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well, at MightyBluesYT. Only takes a second. And we've recently made an Instagram as well. We made it on Thursday, I think, or Wednesday, one day last week. It's Mighty Blues EFC. So if you've got Instagram, go and follow us on that one. I think we have 50 followers today, so big thanks for all of the support on that one recently, and a big thanks for all the support on Friday's video as well. Obviously, Friday's video wasn't a live stream, it was a regular video. We sat year, and we talked, of course, about the Merseyside derby, the upcoming Merseyside derby, and it got quite a good response. So if you like that sort of format, let me know. If you like, obviously I'll continue doing the live streams, I'll be doing the reviews, the previews, etc. live, but if you like the format of maybe uploading one video a week where I just sit down and talk about a specific topic, and you can get involved in the live comments, and it'll only be around 15-20 minutes long, because I understand on some of the live streams I do ramble on a little bit. Let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll definitely be up for doing that more often. So yeah, there you go. Basically, that's all to talk about in reality in terms of the SportPesa deal. And like I said, I do want to go on and talk about the potential of having a whole new kit overall come the summer in terms of sleeve sponsorships and, of course, kit manufacturer as well. But before we go into talking about that, let's get into the live comments. Let's see what some of you guys are saying about this. Evertonian TV says, hi, mate, how are you? I'm not too bad, mate. I hope you're doing well, other than the fact I've still got a cold. Lewis says, hey, Cam, alright, lad? Alright, Lewis, hope you're doing well. Alex says, yes, Cam, yes, Alex. Sombiero numero uno says, instant like, love these. Thank you very much. Really, really do appreciate that. Evertonian TV says, I'm doing a live stream this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Would you be interested joining? In terms of watching, I'll definitely come on and watch. I won't be able to be a part of it, if that's what you mean. I don't know whether that is what you mean, but I'm just guessing. But I'll definitely come on and watch 100%. I assume you mean tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So if you haven't subscribed to Evertonian TV, get over there, subscribe to, and check out that live stream tomorrow. What else was I going to say? Oh, I just wanted to say as well, Everton under-23s are playing tonight, and I believe the game is being live streamed on YouTube. I believe they're playing Derby County, so you can check that out tonight. I'm not too sure what time kickoff is, but if you go on Everton's YouTube channel, it's all there. Kanazugan says, has it actually ended? Well, it's due to end at the end of the season. Everton confirmed last night. Everton interview says, did they mention any new potential partners? They didn't. They just said that they're looking for new partners, as you do when you announce anything like that. Very similar to the manager announcement when they announced that Marcus Silva was leaving the club. It's basically just saying that they'll look for a new sponsor, they'll look for a new partnership, a new company in due course. USM Joel Murphy says, USM main sponsor and megaphone on the sleeve. I'd like it that way. Yeah, I've seen a couple of sort of mock-ups, a couple of designs today, over the course of today, with USM being the main sponsor on the shirt and megaphone being the sleeve sponsor, and a couple of different designs for potential kits for next season, and they do look boss. They do look boss. Listen, personally, I don't think I was alive. In fact, no, I wasn't alive when Everton was sponsored by NEC. I've seen the kits, of course. Gary Lineker famously playing in it. I liked the NEC kit. I thought it was smart. I thought it was sleek. I wouldn't mind NEC, but I'd be well open to having USM. I'd be well open to having Megaphone on the front of the shirt, on the sleeve. I think at the minute it's becoming quite clear that Mr. Usmanov is ploughing loads of money into Everton Football Club at the minute, and if he wants to sponsor the barriers at Goodison Park, if he wants to sponsor the sausage rolls, if he wants to sponsor the kits, I think it'd be a good opportunity to allow him, because I think that's the man that's got the financial power and the financial backing, and definitely the power to push things like a new stadium, and to push things like, bringing in various types of players, etc, etc. So I'd be open for that. Wayne says, yes, Cam, not talked in a while. Hope you're good, mate. I'm not doing too bad. I hope you're doing well. Dosbic says, we need the Usmanov million to avoid Man City's fate. Exactly, again, like I said at the start of the live stream, bringing in a sponsorship that will give us substantially more financial power, or financial backing, should we say, than SportPesa, will also help in the fight against financial fair play, really. Just about on the right side of the financial fair play bracket, I believe by around £10 million. So bringing in somebody that's going to allow us to get, more financial stability and more financial backing, and doing it well within the rules, I think would be a massive, massive thing. Joel says, Everton in the community could be sponsored. I'd like to see. Everton TV says, Everton in the community wouldn't be a bad sponsor. It wouldn't. It would be fantastic. That kid that we played in against Crystal Palace last week with Everton in the community on was absolutely boss. Wayne says, as a lot of vulnerable people out there, we should be sponsored by Hooters or something, a more credible company, and we can have some top draw cheerleaders at half time. Topless, but I don't think that's going to happen, mate. I think that'd be quite against the rules. Stephen says, USM Holden's going to be on the front cam. There's a lot of rumours surrounding that one. We'll definitely have to see. Like I said before, I would, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would probably put my money on whether it be USM, whether it be Megaphone, some type of company that Alisher Usmanov is, whether he's a shareholder of or whether he's directly involved in, some company that Alisher Usmanov is involved in directly, I would assume would be the front runner for the shirt sponsorship. Eugene says, would you like Everton to go back to being the sponsor by NEC? I would like Everton to bring in a sponsor that will give us a lot of financial stability and backing, and it looks decent on a kit, to be honest, and as a company has good credibility and backs the club at the end of the day. One thing that SportPesa very, very clearly didn't do was back the club 100%, and that was shown when they were sponsoring other little clubs here and there, and they were coming out and they were saying big win for Arsenal, despite the fact that they were playing against the club that they directly sponsored on the shirt. So I just like a company that has that rapport, has that relationship with the football club, but also brings us A, that financial stability and that financial backing, but B, also at the end of the day, let's be perfectly honest with each other, it looks absolutely boss on a kit, and brings in new types of fans and brings in like I said, a new sort of type of fan base, because at the end of the day it's about growing the football club. It's about reaching out to people in various different countries that mightn't necessarily know about Everton Football Club, and if NEC can do that, then I wouldn't see why not. Wayne says, only messing though, being serious, can the Angry Bird one go as well? We'll have to see if we decide to obviously extend that partnership from the end of the season. Blue and Sani says, frankly prefer topless DCL or the boys from Brazil after a good result. Wayne says, we've always had craft sponsors, Chang Beer, Umbro Kits. Everton interview says, missed the old Chang sponsor. Ewan says, USM Holdings is the new Everton shirt sponsor. Skip well down there. Where are we? Tuesday Delaney says Everton FC, Goodison Park. Wayne says, not too asked about the sponsor but hated this year's kit. We need a decent kit designer. They get a year to sort this. We're going to talk about Umbro in a second. Kennedy says, team takes pride out of the community where can't use Everton betting companies in their kits. That's another really, really good point. A betting company obviously restricts, kids from having the sponsorship on the kits. I've never really been a big fan of having betting companies or alcoholic companies sort of sponsor Everton kits, football kits in general, but I'm not really asked about other clubs. Well, I'm not asked about other clubs, but definitely Everton kits, because as a kid growing up, I knew how annoying it was, and that's probably to do with me OCD, to be perfectly honest with you, but I knew how annoying it was going into the club shop and wanting to get the new kit on the day it was released, and yeah, it was only a little thing that the sponsorship wouldn't be on the front, but as a kid, when you're going to Goodison Park and you're watching the team, and you're wanting to go and buy the kit, and you're buying the kit, and even though it's not a massive thing, the kit's coming without the main sort of sponsorship on the front, it does make you feel a little bit like it's not exactly the one that they're wearing. And as a parent, at the end of the day, you're paying, Umbro aren't too bad in terms of prices, but you can be paying £40-50 for the child's sort of top on the day of release, and if you're getting it and it's not even coming with an exact replica of what the players are wearing on the pitch, it's a little bit silly. So I've never been a big fan of having alcoholic companies or betting companies on the front of kits, purely because of that rule that they can't be placed on various other items, and it's just not great marketing wise, is it? Let's be honest with you. But are we? God says, at least it's not like Minnesota's main kit sponsor, Target, which is just a huge target on the kit. Yeah, we don't want that either. Wayne says, I think we should get options of fans as to what kits we want in a poll with the choice of designs to vote for. It's 2020 now, rocket science it is. I think that'd be a decent idea, to be honest. Everton divisions on a Philadelphia Union kit that has Bimbo on it. CJ says, FC Usmanov, yeah. USM Megaphone Everton. Literally. I might change the channel name to USM The Mighty Blues, to be honest with you. I'm only messing, I'm not going to do that. Unless Mr. Usmanov wants to throw me, a couple of figures, then we can talk. Keith Van Santi says, can we drop Jembro and get Jordan or Nike? That would be huge for Everton in the USA. If we could get Jordan, that would be absolutely unbelievable. Even Nike as well. Obviously, we've had Nike previously, and I think they didn't have the greatest relationship with the club. But Jordan would be boss, wouldn't it? Wayne says, not another Jordan at Everton. Can't coat one is too much. Keith says, LMAO. David says, USM shirt sponsor anyone? I'd take it, mate. Mark says, we could have the Mighty Blues on our shirt. I haven't got the money to sponsor Everton. Everton interview says, thanks, mate. Sometime you should do a watch along to a under-23s match. I definitely would. I can't do it today, but I definitely will in the future. Wayne says, cheers for the heads up on the under-23s. Dosberg says, yes, Mark Cam is easily richer than Usmanov. I'm definitely not, mate. Definitely not. Keith says the Chang sponsor love boss. Mark says I reckon as well, Dosberg. And Cal says hello, mate. Hello, Cal. I hope you're doing well. So anyway, yeah, let's move on now. I want to talk a little bit about about obviously the kit design, manufacturing, of course. Like you said, we know if you've just joined us, if you've joined us late, if you didn't see the news yesterday, Everton announced last night at around about 8 o'clock, half 8, that they will be ending their partnership with betting company SportPesa at the end of the season. So SportPesa will no longer be on the front of Everton's kits or training gear or any Everton gear really, and we will be looking for a new kit sponsorship in obviously the next coming weeks and months, obviously in preparation for the new kits being produced for the new season. But I want to talk about the kits overall. It's not just the sponsorship, obviously. One thing that we are guaranteed to see in an Everton kit, or a couple of things that we're guaranteed to see in an Everton kit, an Everton home kit, year in, year out, is the badge, the royal blue, and whoever the kit manufacturer it is. And at the minute, obviously, we've got a current deal with Chang. We know that the SportPesa logo is going to change. We know that the potential deal with Angry Birds could be up at the end of the season, so we may have to extend that. Let's just say, for argument's sake, we didn't extend the Angry Birds deal and we decided to go against Umbro, or cut the Umbro deal short. Now, again, I'm going to be fair and I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really see why Everton wouldn't extend the Angry Birds deal. I think Angry Birds have got a good relationship with the football club. Like I said before, they're doing a lot of challenges on YouTube, and there's a lot of YouTube videos that have got their brand on. They seem to be getting involved with the club, seem to be getting involved with the community as well. I dare say they're giving us an awful lot of money, to be perfectly honest with you, because I don't see why we'd advertise if they weren't giving us an awful lot of money. So obviously there's that, there is that rumour that if the deal is potentially up at the end of the season, we may be getting a new shirt sponsor, a sleeve sponsor, sorry. That could be literally anybody that we mentioned before. NEC, could be USM Holdings, it could be Megaphone. Anybody that could be potentially sponsoring the front of the shirt could also potentially sponsor the arm of the shirt as well. But I want to specifically talk about Umbro, because I think it's a conversation that a lot of Evertonians have been having for quite some time, and I think I've done a live stream on it a few months back, and it sparked a big discussion. A lot of Evertonians not happy with Umbro, a lot of Evertonians wanting more, a lot wanting Nike, Adidas, companies like that. Just on Umbro, I'm going to give some positives and I'm going to give some negatives, because I feel like it's only right to be fair. And in terms of Umbro, listen, I quite like Umbro's training gear. I quite like I do like the prices of Umbro. I think £55 for a top for a football club jersey in a Premier League football club is good. You've got some clubs like Southampton who are sponsored by Under Armour, and not only do their kits look absolutely shite every season, but they have to pay £80 for a top. Manchester United's obviously sponsored by Adidas. Some of their fans would have to pay £120 just for a shirt. So obviously, like I said, in terms of just every little small detail, Umbro, the prices I think are reasonably priced and are good and are fair and are affordable, which is the main thing. The training gear I think is decent. I think the material of the kits and the way the kits are produced I think is decent. However, there are negativities. One, the kit design, I think some people dislike. Now, me personally, I think last season's 3 kits were really decent. I had no issue with either, with any of last season's 3 kits. Obviously, we had the home kit with the little white Umbros badges on. We had the away kit, which was black and pink, and we had the third kit, which I thought was absolutely boss, which was white with, the sort of blue detail on. This season, we've got the 3 kits. We've got this one, which has got a little bit of a design here. I don't mind it. I don't hate it. I don't love it. We've got the away one, which I think is absolutely boss, to be fair, the salmon-y coloured one. Obviously you can see Bernard on the screen wearing it, and then we've got the third one, which is a royal, sort of a dark blue with a royal blue in that, which I think is fantastic as well. I think the reality of footballing kits and the reality of these companies making kits is the fact that you're expected really, or you sort of pushed by the club to go out and to spend however many hundreds of pounds on the 3 kits, at the start of the season or when they're released, with the assumption that the footballers will be wearing those kits a substantial amount of times, or at least enough for you to go, that's worth me money because I've seen them in it. The reality of the situation is it doesn't happen. Everton maybe will wear the 3rd kit 3 times this season. I think there's a rule where you have to wear it at least 3 times. I don't think we'll wear the 3rd kit more than 3 times this season, to be honest with you. I think we've seen it once so far. The away kit is very, very similar. We don't see that many times, maybe a handful of times, half a dozen times this season. What we will see the most and what we have seen the most, and it's been the same for years and years and years, and I think it's pretty much fair to say it's the same with a lot of football clubs, is the home kit. You will see many different variations of the home kit throughout the Premier League season, whether it be with Everton, another club, You'll see the typical blue top, white shorts and white socks, which is the kit that was released at the home kit. Will go away to certain clubs, and you'll see blue top, blue shorts and white socks, or you'll see blue top, white shorts and blue socks. It really does confuse me and frustrate me that obviously we bring out 3 kits a season, and you've got perfect opportunities to wear like the away kit or the third kit even, but instead we opt for wearing like the home kit's top and blue shorts and white socks. Why not just go out and wear the away kit, for example, or why not go out and wear the third kit? It does frustrate me. But that's obviously something that's very, very frustrating. In terms of Umbro themselves, I think, like we said before, the announcement of the kits and the release of the kits for this season, the 2019-20 season, was absolutely dreadful. It was appalling. The home kit was late by a few weeks. We had to wait till very, very late for the home kit to be revealed and ultimately released. The away kit was revealed at something like 6:30 in the morning. I remember I was in Mexico at the time on a lad's holiday. I'd come in from a night out. We went out to the if you know Mexico and Cancun, I'm gonna ramble here, but Bongos Bingo. We went out. I think we got in about 3 in the morning their time, or 2 in the morning, whatever it was. I literally picked up my phone before I was about to go to sleep, and I seen that Everton had revealed the away kit, or the away kit for this season, the salmony colour, and it was something like 6:35 or something stupid in the morning in the UK, which is ridiculous. And then the third kit wasn't produced in time. It wasn't revealed and ultimately released until a couple of weeks into the season. And all of this sort of cock up and situation led us to have to wear last season's third kit at the start of the season. Now, for me, my personal view, if Everton are paying a company, or if Everton have got a partnership with a company such as Umbro, who they're said to have a boss relationship with and have had a good relationship for quite some time, if they've got that relationship with a company and that company cannot produce 3 kits before the start of a Premier League season, that's just not good enough for me. If it's leading us to have to wear last season's kit on the opening day of the season, then I just think that's a massive, massive, massive negative on Umbro's part. And since that point, and various other points as well, a lot of people aren't happy with the designs that Umbro bring, the style of kits, the fit of the kits. Like I said, all that for me is a little bit immaterial, but I was definitely not happy with the way that they released and revealed all 3 kits for this season. Having said that, there has been a conversation for quite some time about replacing Umbro, about bringing another company in. There was a rumour about a month and a half ago that Everton are basically at the end of the tier with Umbro, and they're not very happy with them, and they're going to look to end that partnership short, cut that partnership short as well. And there was a couple of companies that were rumoured to be interested. Obviously, you had your usual Nike, your Adidas, etc. But Hummel was another company that was thrown in the mix. I'm not going to lie, I think, again, very similar to Umbro, it's not as appealing on the eye. Obviously, we had Nike a couple of years ago, and there was a reason why we didn't stick with Nike, whatever that may be, whether that be the prices were too much, whether that be the relationship with the club wasn't good enough, I don't know. All as I remember is going in to the Everton shop when Everton were battering everyone. We had Lukaku, Ross Barkley in his prime, Delafeu, James McCarthy, Gareth Barry, John Stones. We had this boss team that were winning every week. You'd go into the Everton shop, there'd be Nike boots everywhere, the training gear looked boss, the kits looked boss. Granted, it was a shitload of money, but for whatever reason, Everton fell out with Nike. So I think we can assume it's not likely to be somebody like Nike or Adidas. Hummel were in the conversation, and I think at first a lot of Evertonians went, I'd rather stick with Umbro, to be honest with you, because they're not the greatest. But as it sort of went on, and like you do, Everton designers on Twitter and social media started to mock up some potential Hummel Everton kits for next season and designs, etc. I think people sort of warmed to it a little bit, and as obviously is this the conversation at the end of the day of a complete kit overall. We know that it won't be SportPesa sponsoring the kit next season. We know that there could potentially be a new sleeve sponsor if the Angry Bird deal isn't extended, and obviously there's been those rumours for quite some time about the deal being cut short with Umbro and there being a new kit manufacturer. So listen, it's all something to think about. Obviously, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Obviously, let me know your thoughts on the announcement yesterday that Everton will be ending their partnership with SportPesa come the end of the season. Are you happy with that? Are you not happy with it? Who would you like to see sponsor the front of the Everton shirt? If, let's say, for argument's sake, Everton decide to not renew their deal with Angry Birds, who would you like to see on the sleeve of the kits going forward, starting obviously with next season, the 2020-2021 season. And if Everton were to cut the deal short with Umbro, who would you like to see manufacture the kits? Who would you like to see manufacture the kits? And who do you realistically think will manufacture the kits going forward? Obviously, it's all food for thought, and it's all definitely something to look into. Anyway, that's going to do it for today. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, like I said, please do subscribe. It only takes a second. Big thanks for the support on all the videos and all the live streams recently. It's been absolutely unbelievable. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. The usernames are in the description below. It's at MightyBluesYT on Twitter and MightyBluesEFC on Instagram as well. We'll go through the live comments before we finish up. Dosbig says, let's get Usmanov to watch the stream and donate $1 million to Cam. It's changed for him. Oh, Mate, I'd absolutely love that. Carl says, have you seen that we put a 20 million bid in for Allen in January? Napoli said no, whether he's likely he was signed in the summer. I've seen the rumours. Inter Milan also interested. I don't know if I believe them, to be honest with you. In fact, I think I don't believe them. Wayne says, Fury or Wilder, are you watching the fight? Sure hope it's Fury. I will be watching it, and I do hope it's Tyson Fury, but you know, you'd only have to be hit once by Deontay Wilder, and you could be waking up in your hotel room, couldn't you really? Pauses. Alan, as I said in the summer, according to my sources and my plates. Mitchell says, Cam, do you think with Carlo's appointment the profile of the club has increased and therefore there will be better deals on the market, so EFC has just been proactive with looking for a better deal? You know what, I think that's a really, really good point. I do agree with what you're saying. I think now that they've brought Carlo Ancelotti in, there will be a lot more companies that are interested in sponsoring the football club, and there'll be a lot more companies that have got their eyes open now because they know that Carlo Ancelotti in himself brings eyes to the football club. But I also think it works on the fact that I think the club have started to kick themselves up the arse a little bit now. I think they're sitting there and they're thinking, right, okay, we've brought Carlo Ancelotti in. You know, we've brought in a world-class manager. We're starting to see results on the pitch. The players are starting to play a lot better. Ancelotti's come to us and said, I want X, Y, and Z in the summer, so they're high-profile people. Maybe we need to start working out, some of the different components of the football club that just aren't pulling the weight, and maybe that's the reason as to why we've cut the sponsorship short with SportPesa. And if that is the case, I hope that is the case, because hopefully now the club, like I said, get a big kick up the arse and now start to rid the companies and rid the people that simply are just not interested and are only interested in themselves, and bring in companies that are interested in the betterment of the football club. Wayne says, while the chat's more shite than Marco Silva in his press conference and is on par with boredom levels. Everton interview says, thanks for the shout out, no problem, mate. Hernandez W says, I don't think that most big name brands will be okay with Everton selling kits at £22 by February, £18 by March every season, no money to be made. Exactly, but if we brought in a kit manufacturer that made an absolutely boss kit, and a shirt sponsor that was an absolutely boss sponsor, and a sleeve sponsor that was absolutely a boss sponsor, then we mightn't have to be putting the kits down by that much price in February and March, etc., because they might be selling a 60 odd £50 throughout the entire season. Again, food for thought. Wayne says, I bought the away. Think most fans did. I did. I've got the away and the home. I haven't got the third one yet. Again, purely because I love it and I love the look of it. But every time I go around, I think £55 for a kit that will probably wear 3 times this season. I don't know whether I love it that much, to be honest with you, but I do love it. I love the design of it, but the home one, and especially the away one, I think I'm boss. And then it says, hope all is well, Cam, and everyone in the chat, thank you very much, I hope you're doing well. Joe says, not into the Angry Birds logo, the red shite, take the piss out of it. Yeah, again, for me, I'm not massively against the Angry Birds logos. If Angry Birds are ploughing loads of money into Everton, like I said before, they're doing a lot more than SportPesa ever did with the football club in terms of the engagement with the players, the engagement with the fans. We've seen a video released yesterday, and a challenge that Angry Birds were involved in, which they seem to be involved in a lot of these challenge type videos with the players and with fans. They seem to be doing their part for the community as well. So if they've got that relationship with the club, they're engaging with fans, they're engaging with the community, and they're giving us a lot of financial backing, then it's tough to find that in companies, as we've seen with SportPesa. Wayne says, thanks, I'm good. God says, I'm still going to plan on buying the away jersey. It's boss, mate, it's boss. And then it says, first time ever at Goodison, and I bought the navy kit because the home kit was uglier to me in person. You should buy the kit in a month to get it for £18. Yeah, but I probably will end up buying it when it goes down, to be honest with you. Eugene says, what is your favourite Everton kit of all time? Oh, I don't know about that one. That's a good one. I'll probably have to think about that. That is a good one. You know what? Purely for memories, I like the yellow and blue one of that 2013-14 season. Roberto Martinez's first season. I just remember so many good memories of good away wins in that yellow kit, and it was the last time probably that we had a lot of consistent away victories. Obviously it's changing at the minute with Carlo Ancelotti coming in, but definitely before Carlo Ancelotti, we never went on a run like we did in that season. But I don't know whether it's my favourite. I'll have to think about that, definitely. Paul says it's bound to be Megaphone. Steel is the new gold. Fair point. Eugene says, see about the topics. Thank you very much. Global Sport TV says if we get the right number of subscribers, then we will broadcast Chelsea. I'm not gonna. I've just realised what I've just read out, but you know, we don't do that here. We don't do that here. Sorry, La. Wayne says, respect, mate. Have a good week. Stay safe. Thank you very much, Wayne. Do appreciate that. Post Liverpool Sports Support my person. Doctor says, thanks for the team. It's been fun as usual. A nice wind down for the day. Thank you very much. Really do appreciate that. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. Only takes a second. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe as well. We'll be back on Wednesday with another live stream, 5:30. Going to be an Ask Me Anything on Wednesday, unless there's any breaking news to talk about, so don't forget to join us then as well. Big thanks for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.